A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I am your humble host, Mike Gargoni, and joining me as always, it's the ATSD to my AT-AT, it's John Campbell.
Indeed, yes, this is a Walker-heavy issue, folks.
Yeah, I mean, if the cover is any indication, but there's Walkers aplenty to be had here.
Hope you like Walkers, folks.
Not the fun kind that help elderly mobility.
No, the evil kind that kill the elderly. Not what they specifically target. Specifically designed to take out retirement homes, right?
Some Imperial engineer. It's just like, look, we've designed the perfect weapon for people 75 and up.
I'm just saying, it's never gone into, but you know the Empire is having the old killed, right?
Which seems so hypocritical from the Emperor's perspective. Right?
I know, but it does feel like it's a resource management thing. There's some kind of Logan's Run shit going on, right?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why we never hear about the retirement plan of any stormtrooper, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh no, 100% on those guys. You think those guys ever have like in a year my tour of service is up? Mm-mm. Yeah. They go till they're dead or useless.
They're not worried about their 401k, that's for sure.
No. There's a reason Dodonna joined the Rebel Alliance. He's like, they're coming for me.
Yeah, but
this white beard.
You got guys like Yularen with the white mustache and everything. Like, I feel like the ISB is where the old folks who are just like crafty go.
Well, that's it exactly. It's sadly like reality. It's like the upper tier people, you know, the elites. They can go for a while because Tarkin was no youngster by any stretch of the imagination either.
But again, it takes a certain amount of elderly cunning to survive in the Empire.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah. Because a lot of the young guys are getting choked out anyway, so...
well, and we'll get into that in this issue, actually.
Oh, yeah, we are. Here we go, folks. Issue 51, which does feel kind of like a breath of fresh air coming out of the supersized issue. And maybe that has to do with the fact that we have a new writer.
Yeah, it does. We are, of course, covering issue number 51 today of Marvel Comics Group Star Wars, the original series that started it all. This particular issue came out in September of 1981, and we have a creative team that has been slowly shifting over the last few issues, but is now sort of solidifying into what some familiar faces for sure. But now we're getting a brand new writer in the form of David Michelini. You say is how we say
that's how
name?
I pronounce it. Yes, I believe that is the case.
We'll stick with that. But we've got Walt Simonson on pencils. Love Walt Simonson. We've got Tom Palmer on inks, Don Warfield on colors, and Jack Morelli on letters.
Yes, indeed. And it does feel like a new, you know, it's still Star Wars, but it does feel like new hands on the wheel, for sure.
New hands on the wheel. We've got a kind of a fresh take, a fresh feel. Of course, we've got still our editors in Louise Jones, who would eventually become Louise Simonson, and now we've James Shooter as Ed-in-Chief.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it feels like we're turning a page on Star Wars. And maybe that's just because we got past 50 issues. Maybe because we're into quite frankly, we're in the back half of reading this series. There's only a little over 100 issues of this particular series. Yep. And we've crossed that halfway point.
We've also got, and and this is, I'm not being ageist here, but I think it does speak to young guys. Michelini and Simonson.
Young in 1981, yes.
That's what I mean. But Michelini and Simonson are kind of new blood at Marvel a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. These are guys in their 30s. And I think that also, whereas Archie Goodwin and Infantino are old school, classic comics guys. I think not only do we have young guys who are making fresher comics, but also probably had Star Wars resonate with them a little bit more.
Yeah, and actually, like, maybe went out to the movies, whereas some of the Infantino was still remembering fondly that time the train came at the screen.
Jeez. He was 106 drawing this book. It was pretty amazing. Yeah. He's like, I remember we didn't even have movies.
Why would I go down to the Nickelodeon? My arm gets tired working the crank.
Yeah. But our apologies to the estate of Carmine Infantino.
Yes, we all know his drawing arm was very strong. He could go to the Nickelodeons all afternoon.
Yeah. Dave Michelini, though, who will go on to be a longtime Spider-Man writer.
Totally.
Is what I primarily know him from. And did a lot of the collaborations with Todd McFarlane that, of course, became some of the most iconic Spider-Man stuff.
And I mean, the guy basically invented Venom, the character, right? Like, obviously not the iconography that McFarlane laid down, but yeah.
Listed as co-creator. Oh, I also did not know this. Creator of Scott Lang as well, David Michelini.
Oh, the second Ant-Man. Okay.
Yeah. And, the Taskmaster was also his.
Oh, very cool. One of my favorite, like, B-tier bad guys. Good old Tasky.
I don't know how much people can see this, but there's a Taskmaster figure back there because I do love.
Oh, I thought it was Moon Knight. It is Taskmaster.
It's Taskmaster up at the top with the Captain America stuff.
Okay. I mean, firmly a Captain America bad guy.
Oh, absolutely. That's why he's up there to threaten my Captain Americas. But yeah,
my second favorite Captain America bad guy
after Red Skull.
Batroc the Leaper. But yeah,
because he leaps.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Creator of creator of both Venom and Carnage, of course. So and writer of not only creator of Venom, but writer of Venom Lethal Protector, which kind of really put Venom, the Venom we know, and particularly the one that's in the movies.
Anti-hero Venom, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, a legendary Marvel writer. And it shows. Like I said, it shows that there's somebody with some real passion for this book. And I think Archie Goodwin did a pretty decent job, as we've talked about. But there's definitely a different vibe when Michelini takes over here.
And Archie Goodwin was a guy who had a lot on his plate, though, as we know. Because there was this whole struggle in the interior power dynamics of Marvel that Archie Goodwin was sort of also wrapped up in with the Jim Shooter takeover. And, like, there's a lot happening in terms of the Marvel editorial around this time, and the fallout of that is some guys, like, being on books where they maybe aren't the most passionate about it. And say, like, Archie Goodwin definitely got the book a little bit better than Roy Thomas did.
100%. Yeah, I mean, we initially when Archie Goodwin started, we were like, hey, now. And then I feel like kind of maybe lost some of that passion. And that may be just because of overwork or, being caught up with other stuff or, as we talk about, there was a lot of also back and forth with Lucasfilm, we know. So tough stuff. But it definitely does this feels like a breath of fresh air. By the way, I like that I'm on the Dave Michelini Wikipedia entry, and they talk about he created several Star Wars characters, and I do not know any of them.
Well, we'll get into it as it comes up, because I already know there's a couple of instances in the next issue where there's some, like, first appearances of Star Wars stuff that will and won't continue on until this day.
Yeah. Because we're gonna have him for a while. I mean, he'll dip in and out a little bit, but he's gonna be sort of the main writer for a bit here.
Yeah, and then we'll have one final stretch with Joe Duffy at the end of this book. But settle in, because, Michelini is going to be a constant companion for the next couple dozen issues. I'm
here for it. I'm on board. Love this cover by Walt Simonson.
Let's get to this cover. Bring that up here. Resurrection of Evil.
So this is a Walt Simonson cover, and you got an AT-ST stalking at Luke, who's just blasting away at its legs.
And it's doing nothing.
It's doing nothing. I love the pose of this. I love him catching it mid-stride.
Yeah, this is good, dynamic, fun cover. Gives us a sense of scale. I mean, this is everything you want out of a comic books cover, right?
Yeah, that Simonson knows how to draw a comic book. I don't know what to tell you.
There's gonna be a lot of that going forward in this issue.
We own that. We're both big Simonson guys. I think he was a hugely influential creator in our love of Marvel, particularly.
100%. Like, his Thor run is just indelibly burned into my heart.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, Thor is one of those characters where like I'm not like a massive Thor fan, but like certain people's runs really impacted me, and his being the gold standard, probably then closely followed by Aaron now.
Yeah, and honestly, though that's being followed up, I mean, it might sound sacrilegious this early on, but like Immortal Thor is really good.
I haven't started reading that yet. I will pick that up at some point, though. I do want to read that.
But yeah,
Anyway.
let's get into this, because right off the bat, like, look at this first interior page.
Yep.
Like, this is just it's so good.
Well, it feels like Star Wars. We got a giant, even though this isn't a design we've seen necessarily. We've got a
this
giant.
is like reminiscent of the medical freighter we saw at the end of Empire.
That's true. Yeah, it's like a massive hulking ship, which of course the first image of Star Wars everybody thinks of is the Star Destroyer going over your head. And so this has that where it's like wham, massive ship, and then the burning X-wing in the distance, which by the way, fire in space?
Oh boy.
I don't know if you followed any of that acolyte bullshit, but
yeah, that might date the recording of this, but
it does.
The,
but
the
I just
ongoing
thought,
nitpicking bullshit in the acolyte, because I think most recently, as of this recording, we're dealing with the Ki-Adi-Mundi age discrepancy, which is like, who cares?
Yeah, I love when it's
But
just
what
like,
about
well,
the droid attack on the Wookiees? That guy. Apparently, him being older than we thought he was is a huge deal.
Boy, well, I'm trying to think. We actually might have already done our acolyte episode by the time this comes
drops,
out. But yeah, who knows? Yeah, anyway. So we'll talk about that a little more. Sorry, I'm sorry. That's my bad on that. I saw that though, and it's as of the recording of this, kind of in the air. So
yeah.
Anyway.
I want to read the captioning on this first page, because I think it really does reset the tone here in terms of the writing we're going to be getting and what Michelini is bringing to this book.
It actually feels like it could be a crawl.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we start off with just this big splash page with the ships like we were describing, and these caption boxes here saying, "The war drags on. Each day, Emperor Palpatine draws his blood-stained hand ever tighter around the throat of a once-free galaxy." That is good shit right there.
It also, like you talked about, reestablishes a tone, which is Michelini is writing this much more seriously. There was a goofiness to Roy Thomas and to Archie Goodwin that was kind of, I think, caught up in the space stuff they grew up on, maybe, where it's like, and also there was sort of a like, yeah, but like Star Wars is for kids, which I know that was always a George Lucas thing, and I think Star Wars should be okay for kids, but the idea, I think, I don't want to infantilize it either. And so I love that, where it's like, this is a war, there is a tyrant drawing his blood-stained hand around the throat of the galaxy. That tells you what this is. This is a story of freedom fighters rising up against a violent tyranny.
And these next two caption boxes, I think, are just like really set the tone for what we're getting at going forward. And Captain Maraba Tev, loyal officer of the Rebel Alliance, had known that well when he accepted a high-risk spy mission in the Patrum system. Had known it even better when forced to flee the sector with a dozen Imperial warships in hot pursuit. But his most vivid awareness had come just seconds ago, when he had pointed his crippled and battle-beaten fighter straight for the rebellion's temporary cruiser base, a mere 4.5 heartbeats before he died.
Yeah, there's a gravity to it, right? This is a war book now.
I think
as it always was, but yeah.
The rhythm of that is tone setting, not explanatory, which is one of the criticisms we had of the caption work in the past.
Right.
This is much more Claremontian, purple prosy. We're giving you details, but we're also evoking a tone that we want that's going to ripple out through the rest of the story.
And as we turn the page, like, once again, Simon's on the art then too, is like the as you talk about the dynamic action of it that Infantino rarely ever captured in his stuff. And like I said, I don't mean to bag on the guy necessarily, but it was like he was a guy past his prime, and I think who didn't, honestly, I don't think had a lot of heart. I don't think there was a lot of his heart in the work. I don't think he really cared about Star Wars. I think it was a gig. But this is so exciting, the way that, I mean, number one, like an X-Wing and the fire coming out the back of it. And then when the wings get ripped off this thing.
Yeah, because the freighter, the X-Wing pilot misses the docking bay, and there's a bunch of rebel officers running around being like, he overshot, get those grappling arms working. They shoot some magnetic grapplers out, catch the ship. The ship's not slowing down, so they're like, okay, we got to rip the arms off this thing to actually stop it from going.
And then them just pulling in the main hull of the X-Wing into the docking bay. And then being like, this guy's dead.
This whole sequence is just dynamic action, and while there is some dialogue boxes explaining what's happening, it's not over-explaining what's happening. It's characters making decisions through dialogue. So when you have one of the rebel officers saying, get those magnetic grapplers working now, it's not well, we need to engage the magnetic grapplers to try to grab the ship because it's going too fast. It's an order, a command.
This feels like the opening of a Star Wars movie. Like if a Star Wars movie kicked off like this, you'd be like, "Whoa, we're in, we're mid battle, and and we're pulling in." I love seeing the guy on the ground guiding it in on the next page when they're pulling the thing in, and then when they open it up and they're like, he's dead, man."
So they find a dead pilot inside this X-Wing, clutching a message capsule. So whatever's inside of that is important.
That's a strong start, man. That's a strong start.
And then we cut to General Riken, a guy we haven't seen in a little while.
No, I just thought we'd completely abandoned this dude.
Riken, of course, showed up in Empire as one of our Imperial leaders. He has sort of replaced Dodonna as one of the military guys walking around in the rebellion.
And he tells us immediately, once again, good reveals and a good structure of thing where it's like, we read the message, this might be the end of the rebellion. You're like, wait, what? And
so we need to send out emergency transmissions. We need 3 people back here right now. Send out the message. And that's how we get our character roundup setup. I really liked the setup here.
Yeah. It does do the thing that unfortunately is not anyone involved in this book's fault of once again, we will have to break off Lando and Chewie's trip to Tatooine. I hope that gets dropped from the structure, because if they keep doing that, I'm going to go insane.
But we cut to several sun systems away at the eventual destination of one of those transmissions. Princess Leia Organa and her droid companion, C-3PO, because he's always there.
You can't get rid of this guy, man. And whether he's serving a purpose or not, and 9 times out of 10, he has serving no purpose and is actually maybe a detriment to whatever they're up to.
Well, I mean, he works as bait here in this little chunk.
Yeah, he does something,
Because Princess Leia and 3PO are out here looking for a new location for a rebel base, because they got pushed out of Hoth, obviously, and so we're looking around for a new place we can set up for base.
And 3PO likes what he sees, man. This is pleasant. He could retire here.
Nice little jungle world, except, what's this? Gundarks.
Gundarks, folks.
Okay,
so the first appearance of Gundarks.
First appearance of Gundarks. Yes, this is correct. Now, this is not what Gundarks are going to end up looking like in Star Wars. Because the settled imagery for Gundarks is these big 4-armed evil rabbit things.
Yeah.
And these are weird whip-tongued lizard monsters. Which is actually strange, because the first even mention of Gundarks specifically mentions their ears, and these creatures do not have them.
Apparently, according to Wikipedia, doing quick research here for the show, folks, these were later retconned to be considered long-necked Gundarks.
Oh,
these are a separate species that are also Gundarks, but a different kind of Gundark.
Sure. Apparently. Okay. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I don't know where. I don't have a source for where that happened, but
that's the weird how they've had to justify why horn-headed people, the Zabrak, are all over the galaxy. It's just well, there's Zabrak from all over the place.
Yeah. Yep. You know how it goes.
Yeah, you got your Dathomiri Zabrak, and that's how you get your Darth Mauls, and you got the other.
Suddenly, 3PO not on board with this planet when these long-necked Gundarks come at him.
Yeah. And Leia's just no, I don't see any Gundarks on the register. Oh, wait, no, there's some Gundarks.
Yep. Oh dear. And this is all valid 3PO stuff. It's not. By the way, has 3PO turned his head completely around?
Oh, jeez, I didn't notice that. Yes.
I mean, I guess he can do that. It's pretty disturbing that he would.
Yeah,
but,
in the top right panel, 3PO pulling an owl there as he just turns his head completely around.
He said there's no reason he couldn't do it. I just don't like it. But yeah,
Leia tells
starts
3PO
shooting
to
at this
climb
thing.
up onto a mushroom.
Yep. And she starts blasting.
But the blasters, they do nothing.
Get ready for blasters to do nothing.
Well, turns out if you have heavily armored Gundarks or assault craft, blasters
Yep.
tend not to do anything.
This is most undignified is a very 3PO line. Which, once again, are you volunteering for these field missions? Because them things are going to be undignified then, 3PO.
Yeah, well, look, 3PO routinely gets his mind wiped, so he probably doesn't know what he's in for.
The most mind-wiped character in all of Star Wars, for sure.
Yoo-hoo, Gundarks over here.
That I want to hear Anthony Daniels say.
I know. So
yeah,
on top of this little like mushroom tree thing, he attracts the attention of a couple of Gundarks that both try to like whip tongue him at the same time. And just before they hit him, Leia blasts the stalk of the mushroom, so the tongues collide with each other, but miss 3PO.
Pretty cool. And I also love once again, the dynamic action of her firing and the way it looks like a sight on a rifle.
Oh, if you want dynamic action Leia, we are in for some dynamic action Leia in the next couple of issues.
And so, yeah, they get their tongues stuck together. I don't know quite how they got tied in this big a knot, but okay.
Force. A wizard did it.
This is the Simpsons Xena thing. Yeah. Anytime you have a question like that, just remember, just the answer is a wizard did it. And then once again, trying to imagine 3PO running is always funny.
Yeah, because the two of them run back to their ship and say, maybe this place wouldn't be a good base after all.
You've never seen him do anything but lumber. You know, he just doesn't move fast. He shuffles, kind of, I think, at most. Yeah. 3PO, your perception of the obvious is truly amazing. Great. Leia being sarcastic. Leia actually sounds like Leia, which I know, of course, but you guys have read this book along with us. Leia's been real weird in some of these most recent issues.
Oh, yeah. Well, strap in a couple of issues for even weirder Leia, but we'll get there.
All right.
When Chris Claremont gets his hand on Leia, it gets weird quick.
I don't like the thought of that. But they fly off in a ship I've never seen before in Star Wars.
Yeah, there's a weird, like, Martian pod they're in as they fly away. I don't know where this came from.
Yeah. It's a small probe ship, they say.
Sure, why not? But they get a distress signal from Rebel Command, so that's our first signal sent. And
this is Luke on the volcano planet from the last issue, right?
No, this is like a mud planet.
Oh, yeah, but the initial establishment of it looks very lava-y.
It looks lava-y, but it is established to be mud.
Because that's right. He does say it's this overgrown mud bowl smell. So they've each been dispatched somewhere else, is the thing here.
Yeah, but rebels are sending out signals to bring them all back to the base. But here we have Luke on this mud planet. Again, he's looking for a place that they can call a base. But what's this underneath all the mud?
Yeah, I was going to say, I got to say, let's skip it, Luke. I don't think this one's going to work.
Well, especially when he finds a communications beacon underneath all this mud.
And another, I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah. Look,
they're using it.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
And then this thing explodes. Facoom.
Well, it doesn't explode. The ground around him explodes with a facoom.
Mm-hmm. And then what's this? It's an ATST.
A Scout Walker. Scout Walker's very briefly seen in Empire Strikes Back.
I was going to say, this is the first time we've really, I think, gotten a good look at one.
Yeah, they're sort of in the background on Hoth. And you won't see them in like real detail in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. But kids, put in your orders at Sears.
AT-ATs and ATSTs. Oh, no.
You're going to need both. Yeah. Yeah, because this thing, not only did it facoom, then it faratches, too.
Well, it faratches, it's shooting at him, and we have a whole like squadron of Imperials here on this mud planet. So I don't think this plan's going to work out for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Love Walt Simonson, but I will say that is a chunky stormtrooper.
Yeah, and like, look, maybe
that guy is wide.
That is a Centurion Cylon from Battlestar Galactica, is what that is.
It does have that. Yeah, it does have that vibe to it. We finally found a helmet big enough to fit your head, Don.
Maybe
Thank God.
That's the XXL wide and squat line of Stormtrooper.
For your heftier Stormtrooper.
Look, as a guy who has to shop in the like wider sections, yeah. Well, unfortunately, I just got the big part covered. I don't have the tall part covered, so it ends up with shirts hanging down to my knees.
You go into the big and tall shop and go, "Where's just the big section? I can ignore the tall section. Do you have just a big part? Yeah, for the clothes for the wider man."
I am a proud, long-standing member of a wide fellow, yes.
You've always been a wide man. That's just naturally how it is. You come from a wide family.
We're broad.
Broad, yes, exactly,
in both physicality and humor.
Oh, that's definitely true, yeah.
Yeah, you've met my father.
I have, yeah. And so, this is cool, though. It's like, it's just Luke Skywalker and a squadron of walkers. That's awesome.
Yeah, and he's away from his X-Wing. R2 is apparently on his X-Wing, though. And he says, hey, R2, there's some walkers around. Bring up the ship shields.
And you don't see shields like this in Star Wars a whole lot. At least not on X-Wings.
Yeah, I mean, the shields on spaceships is always one of those things, like, they're never super relevant until they really are. And then when they like need to be hyper specific about it, sometimes we'll see a little shimmery shield on the surface of a spaceship.
That's obviously something that's a way bigger part of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Or the shields, because we're always talking about the shields nonstop.
Well, you got to remodulate those things constantly.
Yeah. Shields at 20%, Captain. That's bad. If
well,
that's the
and
case.
like sometimes you'll have to angle the deflectors in Star Wars.
Yeah. Yes, they do. They do mention that. Yeah. But it's rare you see somebody take a shot at something and it bounce off the shield like this, especially on something small.
Well, and I think it usually comes down to an ordnance discrepancy, right? Like, weapons on ships are designed to shoot other ships, so the shields aren't necessarily going to hold up. But, like, if somebody pulls a blaster and shoots at a spaceship, it usually doesn't
like, that's
do
what we're
anything.
to take it here is this ATST is deflected by it. But as this stormtrooper says, by the way, a much more normal-looking stormtrooper, but even energy plating can't hold up forever. It's just a matter of whoomp.
I will mention on the previous page we are introduced to who's commanding this squad, which is a Major Kuru, which will become relevant in a little bit.
Major Kuru, yeah. And so
but there's a wump
someone's throwing proton grenades.
That communication beacon we saw earlier that was buried under the mud has exploded because Luke, that crafty little bastard, has made the communications beacon explode.
You know it. But then, from the thick slime beneath the scurrying walker, a figure rises. He's pulling a Rambo. This is a total Rambo move.
And we're going to run into something here that I'm just going to have to ignore from here on out.
It's in the Wikipedia, too, under, like, continuity mistakes.
Why Luke has a lightsaber?
Yep. Completely unexplained.
Yeah. I have a feeling we're going to have to ignore that a lot for the next
once again, according to the Wikipedia, yes. They mentioned this is a continuity error in this issue and many more issues. Because they're just like, but Luke has a lightsaber. It's like, he lost it. But Luke has a lightsaber. That's one of the things we know about him.
But if you pre-order Mud Planet Action Luke, he comes with a lightsaber.
There was never a Luke figure that didn't come with a lightsaber, sir.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's I get it. It's still like, wait, what? But even you pointed that out. I think in the last time we saw him do that too.
A few issues
and
ago,
I was like, and I was like, well, no, no, you're right. Because once again, I wasn't thinking about it because I too just go, well, the design of Luke Skywalker comes with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
But you're like, of course, no, of course, he very famously lost it, and we, thanks to the sequels, know where that lightsaber ended up.
Well, there's a bit of a gap there, but yeah. It's not like Maz Kanata just like rolled up in Cloud City's trash can and went, oh, lightsaber.
It's almost like they never explain where she got it from.
Well, that's a story from another time, John.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, someday.
Don't you just love J.J. Abrams and his mystery box storytelling?
Yeah, I'm starting to think it's a less mystery box and more I haven't figured this out. But all right, that's fine. Anyway, a figure who wields an ancient weapon called a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Regardless of if it makes no sense that he has it, you gotta love him cutting an ATST leg off.
It's rad. And like this is where the first instance of this, obviously you do it a bunch in like Jedi Fallen Order.
Nonstop. And it's never not cool.
It's always satisfying. Yes.
There's so many parts of that game where the repetitive stuff where you're just like, I will never get tired of force pushing a stormtrooper off a cliff. Never.
Nope.
That will never not be satisfying. Every time you're just like, and they're like, ah. You're like, yeah, that's what you get for being part of the Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing goes down with a chush.
Good chush. So Luke scrambles into his X-Wing and he gets away.
Yeah, because they received a message from Jenna Reekin, and it's time to call us back.
We do get a brief aside from inside the AT-AT. I love how Michelini writes snarky stormtroopers. Not snarky, but just like the offhanded kind of like, oh, I don't think Lord Vader's going to like this, sir.
Yeah. Corporal, if you value what's left of your career, just drive.
We're going to get a bunch of like little aside stormtrooper dialogue in the next few issues, and it's all great, in my opinion.
That's what you want. I love them because they're just they're just the grunts. Mm-hmm. They're just here to go, Vader's not going to like that. Meanwhile, at the third set of General Reekin's coordinates, the Millennium Falcon, piloted by Lando Calrissian and his Wookiee first mate Chewbacca. Chewbacca should really be the captain.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, come on. Lando's there by Chewie's good graces, you know.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean, pour on the speed, Chewie? I'm pushing this bucket of bolts as fast as I can.
So here they're talking about we're after that gun runner. We're after can tell us where Boba Fett took Han. But in the last issue, they knew where Han was.
I mean, they literally say at the end of Empire, they're going to Tatooine to get Han back from Jabba the Hutt.
Right. But here they don't know.
Here they don't know. They need to track down this bug-eyed alien who is named Shem Lurn.
Mm-hmm. Once again, Han captured in issue 43 of this comic, not in what movie?
Do you know
he's
there were
got
comics?
A crazy yeah. You should ask your local comic shop if they still have any copies of issue 43 for your collection. Yeah, this is a crazy ship this guy's flying. And also, a crazy... I do like that he goes, I just hope the slug appreciates it. Cut to, oh, he is a slug.
Yeah. That is speaking a weird alien language, which I appreciate that there's no translation of. And I think... This is a very unique word bubble. I don't think I've ever seen a word bubble that has like multiple prongs coming from the same person.
Yeah,
it sort of implies like a layered voice effect of some kind.
I like it. I like anything that, because one of the things I love about Star Wars, of course, is how weird the universe is. It's full of weird creatures who speak weird languages. There's a real alien quality to it beyond just there being aliens. That implies you're like, oh yeah, even the word bubble looks weird when this guy talks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I dug it.
Better hit the wide dispersed blasters, Chewie.
Yeah,
more asteroids. That asteroid field in Empire made a real impression on the Marvel offices.
Look, asteroid fields in Star Wars are like convenient jumps in the Dukes of Hazzard. They're always going to be around in case you need them.
You never know. Look, a peninsula. Yeah, it's always there.
Convenient
Anyway,
geography, basically.
yeah. The Attack of the Clones asteroid sequence I do love quite a bit.
Well, that's just because of the sonic charge sound, isn't it, though?
Which was just the coolest. Seeing that in a theater was just
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, and then I like that it's like I do like Lando having to be like, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not quite the pilot Han was. You're damn right, Lando. Lando, he had the Falcon, but Lando's skills are not. He's a fine pilot, but that's not where his skill set lies. Like that's Han's thing.
He's kind of the inverse of Han, because like Han's like an excellent pilot and a bit of a con man and a rake, whereas Lando is more the rakish con man who's an okay pilot.
Right. Yes. Exactly. There's a reason that they complement each other very well. And then of course, once again, sorry fellas, damn.
Your mission is to be terminated immediately, and Chewie kind of loses it here a little bit.
As he should. Twice now they've been forced to abandon this.
Because, he leans across the console and tries to stop Lando from flying them back to the rebellion, and he's like, hey, what are you doing?
Well, that's very on character to me. Well, you better back off on Chewie when he gives you a snarrar, for sure. But no, I like that because Chewie's allegiance is to Han Solo. Yes, he's part of the Rebel Alliance, but he believes in that. But that's with his buddy. But if it's Han or the Rebels, he's going to choose Han.
Yeah, 100%. But unfortunately, while they're tussling over the controls, they lose track of that alien they were trying to get.
Yep. Yeah, and so, well, sorry, Chewie, I guess we will go back. And actually, it's on character for Lando to be like, look, I don't want to screw up anymore. The new comic gets into this much more. Though I like that this one does touch on is like, Lando has a lot to make up for because he did fuck over everybody in Empire. So yeah, they turn around and they're headed back, leaving behind the mournful wail of a Wookiee denied.
Poor Chewie.
We've heard that. It's one of the most heartbreaking moments in Empire when he screams. Yeah. Anyway.
Back to the
Now
Rebel
we're back
cruiser.
to the main Rebel cruiser.
Time for everyone's favorite thing in Star Wars, a boardroom sequence in which we explain things.
I think it's in every movie.
I was kind of not joking.
No, it's not everybody's favorite thing, but it's definitely, it has to be here. And so they talked about, okay, so once again, this guy died to bring us this information.
Yeah, I mean, he's no Bothan spy, but he'll do in a pinch.
Yeah. What's interesting is they accidentally get close to the plot of Jedi here.
I mean, yeah, because what we're going to find out here is that it turns out the Empire is funneling a ton of resources into building, what's this? A new super weapon. Called the Tarkin.
Okay. This is where I think the title of the issue is a metaphorical resurrection of evil, that they have named this for Tarkin. Therefore, the destruction it will wreak is the resurrection of Tarkin's evil. That's my guess as to what the meaning of the resurrection of evil is.
Okay. Yeah.
He lives through this weapon. Because, of course, it's based on Death Star technology, which was his passion project.
Yeah. So he says they've taken the Death Star's main offensive battery, the ionic cannon, and built it around a set of engines and defensive shield generators unmatched by anything we've encountered. So they've basically taken the main gun of the Death Star and built a ship around it.
This is actually weirdly also what happens, and I don't like it, in Rise of Skywalker.
There is a lot of Imperial superweapon shenanigans in every other story in Star Wars after the first movie. People who always like opine for the expanded universe of old kind of forget that this exact story, like the Tarkin, or there's name 6 other super weapons that the Empire comes up with, or God forbid we start talking about the resurrection of Palpatine, because that's happened at least twice in the expanded universe, let alone the
either
Rise of
literally
Skywalker.
or metaphorically or as a spirit in some way. Yes, absolutely.
So, yes, this is indicative of a long line of, oh, the bad guys are building a super weapon stories that will repeat over and over and over again of Star Wars.
This is a thing that is the case as any Star Wars fan, and it is sort of a thing. Yes, the people who opine or complain about a lot of modern Star Wars is like, these are things that Star Wars has suffered from in the past. There sometimes you do get locked into stuff.
Yeah. The way I've always like
There are
explained
certain
it
Star
in my
Wars
head,
tropes.
yeah, tropes is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I've always thought like, oh, there's something intrinsic about being a bad guy in Star Wars that means you build a big weapon.
Yeah.
Like that's just part of it.
No, absolutely. That's why it didn't. I bag on Rise of Skywalker, but like that was not a problem I had when Force Awakens came out. When people were going like, it's the same thing. I'm like, I mean, I kind of.
Yeah, Starkiller Base was. I mean, Han Solo lampshades it in the movies, like so it's bigger.
Yeah. We've seen this shit before. And then here, yes, it's like they've basically been like, all right, we don't need to build a whole space station. We can just take the weapon of the Death Star and, yeah, like you said, put engines on it.
So that kind of like quiets everybody in the room as they name it the Tarkin. But then we get our cutaway to what's this? Over to the Empire. A stillness matched by the vacuum of space as, quite some distance away, an Imperial battle fleet approaches the Patrum system. The fleet is led by a gigantic Star Destroyer, Executor, personal warship of Darth Vader.
Oh, hell yeah. And this is Vader. Vader's gonna be Vader here, folks.
We have been, let us say, disinclined to appreciate some of the Vader moments in the last few issues.
Right.
Because they felt extremely out of character and
very much so.
Not up to par with what we want out of our Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah, perhaps, once again, there's an argument for tough to beat definitive and stuff, but a good argument of maybe cinema's greatest villain.
So,
so that we expect a lot when this guy shows up. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like to reset the tone, I think Michelini does a good job of giving us our Vader moment as we get our Super Star Destroyer, we push in, and it's Major Kuru, who we just saw leading those AT-ATs against Luke Skywalker, and Vader saying, you had the rebel officer in your grasp and you let him get away.
Mm-hmm. And this guy trying to be like, we were tricked, man. They hoodwinked us.
He was
surely You seem distraught, Major. Perhaps a long walk and some fresh air would help clear your mind. And he's like, what are you talking about?
And
he mind tricks him here, man.
Yeah.
More than maybe the most powerful mind trick we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, so this whole sequence we have the Major like talking at Vader's back, and he's saying like, look, it was a mistake. We were trying to protect Imperial assets. It was just one pilot. And so Vader tells him to go for a walk and get some air, and he's babbling some more, and then that's when Vader turns and just says Major and holds his hand up. And then we just get two panels of this guy looking absolutely shook, like just repeating, yes, walk, fresh air, walk, yes, walk, fresh air.
And then the coldest, most badass. Lord Vader, our instruments indicate that an exterior airlock is just open and closed of its own volition. And then just the, how curious. A faulty mechanism, no doubt. And they're just like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's got to be it.
So
I don't want to go out that airlock.
Mind trick this guy into taking a walk outside the spaceship.
God damn. And just what this is Vader. I want give me an all-powerful guy who doesn't give a shit like this, right? Like just the casual walkway is like, oh, did it then, That's the Vader I want. Vader shouldn't be monologuing. Vader shouldn't be there going like, princess, like he was in that one. He's more just like, that guy died. It's like, oh, how unfortunate,
We like a little bit of snark from Vader, though. So, like, when
There's
he's
a
like,
little-
how
there's a
curious,
little
a
snark.
faulty mechanism, no doubt.
Yeah. But that's the key. It's like, it's a little bit of snark. He's not a gloating villain who's going to be like, gotcha.
Yeah.
No, he's gonna down. Everything with Vader should be underplayed, and that makes him scarier. The fact he doesn't give a shit, and it feels like he's not even. He's so powerful. This was nothing to him.
Yeah, it's not like he threw this guy out the spaceship. He told him to go take a walk.
Yeah, and then the guy did, and he's just like, oh well. Yep.
Oh, so good.
Yep. Problem dealt with. All right, back to Rebel meeting room.
Yeah. So we've got a big, simple problem, but a complicated solution. We cannot attack the Tarkin directly.
Classic.
So how do we beat this thing?
I do like they shored up that problem we had there with the Death Star. That's taken care of. So that was a one-off. We don't get another one of those. So we got to figure out a new thing. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Galen Urso 2.0 is not getting our back on this one.
So this time, the only chance for success, they say, is to get a small group of commandos inside. So we're not going to attack it from the outside. We have to blow it up from within. And then Luke's like, now I get why you wanted us. Even though...
You know what I love seeing? Luke being intelligent.
God, I know, right? It's
Luke saying, all of us are the only ones who have actually been inside a Death Star before. That's why you want us here.
Yeah. And he's just like, yeah. He goes, that's right, Commander. You, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, and your droids will serve as the assault squad. That is, if you volunteer. I guess we do.
And also, now there is at least some logical reason why C-3PO is coming along.
Yeah, I know. It's well done. And then, folks, Lando's cape game is on point in this issue.
Yeah, the cape like falling over his elbows, and it's good.
Oh, he's looking good, man.
But also, we do get some addressing of like, look, everyone here is not really a fan of Lando coming along.
You know what? This feels like this should have been the first issue after Empire.
Yeah, 100%.
In my recommendation of the reading of this, just go from the end of the Empire adaptation to this. This feels way more, because all of a sudden they haven't been acting like this to Lando, so it's actually kind of insane that they do. This is how they should have been to him from the start.
Because Lando says to Leia, "Hey, what about me? What am I supposed to do?"
And she says, "Why don't you try looking out for yourself, Lando? You seem to do it so well." And this guy's like, "Yeah, I know, cold." And I love the generals being like, "Yeah, you were kind of asking for that, Lando."
He says, "Easy, Calrissian. You may have no choice when you turn Solo over to the Empire, but Han had a lot of friends here, and I'm afraid friends don't forget easily."
Yeah, like, don't look to me either. I also like that guy more than you.
But then we get a little bit of
that guy.
Ominous foreshadowing here with Lando. This is a little bit of a red herring, obviously, because Lando's a decent dude. But we get his face all in shadow, and he says, "Maybe not, General, but neither do I."
When I saw this, I thought about the red herring of this, and I did think, similar to, we were talking about people thinking maybe Vader was lying about being his father. I'm reading this going, I wonder, did people think that Lando might stay sort of a questionable character after? Because at the end of Empire, it seems like he's going to go off, but we only see a little bit of heroic Lando, so maybe people thought, oh, is this character going to continue to be a guy we're not sure if we can trust?
I mean, he is ultimately still a scoundrel. Like, that's part of his character. So I like them keeping it a little bit ambiguous.
Even before his betrayal of Han, there's already they're not like the best of friends, right?
Well,
like
there's the whole sequence where we're introduced to Lando. There's this like stilted moment where it's like, oh, is this guy pissed that we're here? Yeah.
And the idea that could be legitimate, and even when he's like, "You old pirate," and hugs him, Han is a little surprised by that, because I do like that they're not just like best buds, him and Lando. No, there's always sort of a thing about like, are you going to try to screw me over? Because they're both two guys who are out for themselves, first of all, and Lando more legitimately so than Han. Especially going forward with the stuff we've seen with like the Solo movie, Han always is kind of bullshitting about how much of a bastard he is, right? Like,
yeah. Whereas Lando is a little bit more genuinely out for himself, at least earlier on in his career.
Right. Yeah. He's a little bit more actually a criminal. Like Han does criminal stuff, but usually he's got a heart of gold. Lando's like he might stab you in the back should it benefit him.
Man, the characterization of those two was so perfect in Solo, I thought.
Absolutely fantastic. And I always thought that's the one I rewatched the most because number one, it's just so much fun. And and it's a shame. I hope that we get to see more of that dynamic because I thought both Ehrenreich and Glover, I want that dynamic back on screen. It's so good.
Well,
they really nailed it.
Lando project they've been stewing on for years.
That's now a movie. It was going to be a show. Now Donald Glover's writing it as a movie. So
well, cool. Well, if Donald Glover especially is writing it, that'd be cool.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he and his brother Steven, who's his writing partner, are at the moment writing a Lando movie. So
because didn't he write that Mr. and Mrs. Smith show that just came out as
did.
Well? And
he sure
that's
did.
A great show.
A fantastic show. I loved that show. And they are making more of that too, which I'm glad about.
But yeah, we cut to it's the Millennium Falcon. They're taking off. They're going to a planet that is serving as some kind of like.
Is Luke flying the Millennium Falcon?
I got to assume it's Chewie, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Once again, it should be Chewie.
Yeah. But as far as we know, Lando's getting left behind.
Yep. And so they're going there undercover.
Yeah, they're going to this planet. What's it called?
The outer rim of the Patrim planetary system.
That's the Patrim system, but this planet is called Hockaleg.
That's not a great place.
Yeah,
I'm with 3PO, and this seems like an unsavory place. Look at that, though. There's a graduate of the Xavier school there.
Yeah, they notice that everyone here is wearing the same uniform, so they come up with a plan to try to do the classic thing of jumping some guys and stealing their clothes.
Yeah, because they send a hot girl, right, is the thing there, where it's like, Leia, why don't you distract them? And no human being has ever been more distracted than this guy doing a wah-wah.
Yeah, a quick double cake at Leia as she comes out of an alley saying, "Hey there, flyboy, new in town."
This man has never seen a woman before, right? His reaction is because I mean, of course, Leia's gorgeous, but like she's just in like a jacket and pants. There's but just her going like.
She's wearing her Hoth outfit, which I found interesting.
I did think that was interesting too,
because Luke's got like this cool red jacket that he's wearing. Obviously, he'll change it to some military like uniform thing.
Well,
they've got the workers dressed in here.
Take these guys' uniforms, yeah. And yes, it's classic. And then, boy, oh boy, turn the page. This guy's literally puffing out his chest.
Yeah, because this guy's trying to impress Leia, and Leia's like, "Okay, I don't think this was such a good idea. I shouldn't have tried to seduce this guy." And this guy's like, "Hey, baby, come on, give me a kiss."
Come on, sweetie, give us a kiss. Man, this guy moves fast.
Yeah, but so does Leia. She socks him one.
I do like that it's not Luke who knocks this guy out. It is Leia who just punches him in the jaw, and he drops.
And then she calls Chewie to literally grab the second guy out of his boots.
Yeah. Also, was one of these guys tiny? Because Princess Leia is a pretty small woman and fits into this uniform no problem.
Don't worry about it, John.
I mean, that's always the classic thing about we're going to take these uniforms and they always fit perfectly.
Something unstable molecules.
It's one of the best things in Raiders, right? When he takes the Nazi uniform and it doesn't fit him at all.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nice. That never happens. Harrison Ford's got the thing buttoned. He's like, oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So they're making their way to the shuttle launch.
Yeah, I do like this line where Chewie lets out a gronk and Leia's like, "Don't worry, Chewie. Nobody expects a Wookiee to wear a uniform, do they?"
Yeah. We didn't actually look into that. We didn't even know anyone needed to wear a uniform, so...
We couldn't find an 8-foot tall guy for Chewie to slip into his uniform.
And they really looked, too. That's the craziest thing. I spent an hour looking for that. You don't see clothed Wookiees a whole lot, do you?
The first time I've seen like a Wookiee in like a full clothing has been in the Acolyte recently.
Oh man, Wookiee Jedi. I
Seeing,
love
yeah.
it. I needed that in my life. I didn't even know I needed it in my life. All right.
I had already had it because I'd been reading the High Republic comics, and that has
That's right.
a
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
good
I
old
have
Buryaga.
the Acolyte is really the first time I've really dipped into the High Republic stuff. So I
Yeah,
need to
well,
read those comics.
I think you are among many people who are for the first time realizing that the High Republic is even a thing.
Well, because it was sort of like when it first started, I think there was sort of a like, is this gonna be a thing? Okay, and then it kind of settled in. But there was sort of a like, we're gonna try a new thing.
Yep.
So
No,
yeah,
totally. But I think it is well established at this point, and the comics are totally worth
absolutely.
reading.
So here's Luke's turn to use a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, because we come up on these stormtroopers here guarding the shuttle for the workers, and we've got a stormtrooper going like, "Wait a minute, there's no manifest for these two workers and two droids and a Wookiee."
I don't think any of you are on the list. And this like, yeah, we are. And he's like, oh yeah, no, never mind, you are.
Yeah, Luke mind tricks his way in. That's cool.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
And
I do like that his first thing where he's like, didn't you make a mistake? And the guy's like, hey, the Empire doesn't make mistakes. No, didn't you make a mistake? Oh, yeah, no, here it is.
yeah, oh, what do you know? I
But
made a
at first,
mistake.
this guy's like, the Empire making mistakes. I don't. Oh, I guess we did. Yeah.
So the ship takes off. It's flying to the Tarkin. This thing looks cool.
Oh, it does, because it is basically just the giant cannon dish from the Death Star surrounded by a bunch of giant engines. And look at how huge this thing is. For scale, look at that Star Destroyer cruising by it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if it's I mean, it's definitely not as big as the Death Star. Death Star is impossibly large.
Right.
But this thing is huge. I like some of the accents on it is like Star Destroyer-esque. Like you've got the big bridge thing built on top of it that looks like a Star Destroyer bridge. A
They
lot of the
successfully
engines look similar. Yeah.
Yeah, they successfully do what it's supposed to be, which is they basically just took the gun off of the Death Star and then built a bunch of other stuff they had lying around onto it to form a ship. It's like, I guess we'll put this thing on there and we'll do that, and there we go.
Held in temporary balance by gravitational pull from the planet below, it looms like some great cyclopean sentinel, its ionic eye ready to spit death in a blink. Death for the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, he does love writing this stuff, but he is better at it than Goodwin.
I love the term Great Cyclopean Sentinel.
Yep.
It makes me so happy.
Yep, that's a very Mike Gergoni sentence. Cyclopean Sentinel. And so, yeah. By the way, can we talk about the Jurassic Park helmet goggles?
Oh, that
the
Leia's
next
got
page?
on this next page?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, if we go back a couple of pages,
No, there was a
guys
guy wearing them. I
Yeah.
meant to mention it earlier. But I'm saying, like, what are those for anyone?
welding.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go with that.
I mean, okay, hers at least makes sense when given that she has two eyes and there are goggles coming down over her face. What about the guy behind her with what's that hat?
Okay, that guy's got a GoPro on his head.
He's got a periscope.
Yeah, I don't even know how he's looking at that. Yeah, great stuff. So yeah, they and I do like their thing about like, oh man, this is bringing back bad memories. We have nothing but bad memories related to the Death Star.
Wait, hold on, John. Are you saying our characters remember things from the past and are affected by them emotionally? That can't be
Believe
right.
it or not. No, that hold on, let me check again. No, that's what I'm seeing. I did. This is shocking. But yeah, the idea that this book mentions that like Leia's like, right, that's the thing that destroyed my entire world.
It's not in dialogue, it's not in thought bubbles, it's in the art, and it's in some very effective caption work.
Yeah.
There's no so on this page we have Luke looking like angry, Leia looking worried, and the caption saying, "For Leia Organa, it serves as a chill reminder of the destruction of her home planet Alderaan, along with the planet's entire population. For Luke Skywalker, it stirs visions of a corporeal disillusion of his friend and mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Yeah. While for others, the immense battle stage engenders such diverse emotions as the thrill of imminent combat and the fear of eventual parts dispersal.
Well, we know whose thought that is.
Chewies. No.
No, my parts, they're being dispersed.
The thrill of battle for 3PO.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if R2 felt the thrill of battle.
Well, yeah, actually, R2 doesn't feel anything because he's a sociopath. We know this. But cold-blooded killer, man. We have talked about him being putting out quite the body count.
Yes. So they're disembarking. They're on the station now. And as we see them loading away, we slowly pull back. And what's this dark helmet staring down at Luke and gang as they're disembarking?
Very cinematic, by the way, that it's just like we're pulling out and out and out until we get to Vader looking down at them.
And I love the little Imperial toady that's next to him that's saying, Lord Vader, I'm not sure I heard you correctly. Did you say remove all security personnel from the area around the main power reactor?
And Vader just being like, I did.
God, this is Vader. I love this.
Absolutely, where it is like, I'm sorry, are you asking me to repeat myself? I don't think you want to do that.
Vader gets a little wordy down here at the bottom when he's saying,
Yeah.
"For I sense a presence I have scoured the galaxy to find, a presence that now comes to me. And if Captain Vole, will do as you're told, I shall endeavor to make his last steps easier."
Yeah, so soon that by his own actions, Luke Skywalker will be mine. I think some of that could have been done actually in captions, because why is he telling this guy? You know?
Yeah, this is
like who is
a
Captain
little
Vole?
over-explaining.
I do like
the guy
that,
at the center of what we're about to find out at the end of this issue.
but I do like that that soon by his own actions, Luke Skywalker. He's gonna walk right into my trap, which is very Vader. Once again, he doesn't need to. He's just above it all. He's just floating above the thing where it's like, I've already figured this out. I'm 10 moves ahead.
And that's totally like this era Vader too, right? Like earlier in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, maybe Vader's can sometimes be a little bit on the back foot. He's still coming to grips with being a Dark Lord of the Sith. But at this point, Vader's a guy who was just going to stroll unaffected into situations, and he already knows how it's going to turn out. Or at least he thinks he does.
Yeah, exactly. And then, by the time you get to Empire to Jedi, he's now actively trying to succeed the Emperor.
Mm-hmm. So we've got this plan in motion, but here on the last page, what's this?
The end of this issue, I loved.
So Captain Vole is just like, this Vader guy, I can't even. And we follow him as the captain complies, seeing that his master's orders are carried out to the letter, after which he moves to a little used service lift and drops a dozen levels to a maintenance area populated only by droids and spare components, and by desperate men wishing to avoid unique notice or undue notice.
This is the Operation Valkyrie of the Empire.
Because we find a bunch of Imperial officers scurrying around down here saying, Vader has been killing us left and right.
Yeah.
Darth Vader must die.
Awesome, man. Now, because that throws a whole other thing. That throws a whole new wrench into the whole thing.
I love this idea.
That's a great idea.
One of the constant refraining jokes we make is just like, Vader, he doesn't give a shit. He'll kill officers. Maybe it's going to cause a manpower shortage. This is those officers being like, he needs to stop killing us.
Yeah, that's not cool at all.
I think this is great Star Wars writing.
This is really good stuff.
Yeah.
This is very good.
What a refreshing breath of air, pardon the pun, based on what happened to that officer earlier in this issue.
I got some not air.
This feels Star Wars-y. This feels like Vader is on character. All of our characters are remembering things that happened in the past. We've got Imperial intrigue. We've got super weapons that need to be destroyed. This is Star Wars, baby.
It is. I mean, like I said, it's nice to see. This is not like, although I do really like this ending in particular, this is not like exceptional work, but it's just nice to be like, oh, this is on brand. This feels right. It's still treading water, of course, but it doesn't feel like you're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel so like strange or out of flavor that it makes us like stutter step and go like, this doesn't feel
There's
right.
there's a couple of exposition heavy dialogue pieces, but they're not overdone. They don't distract from the thing in general. It moves along at a pretty decent pace. I like that, as you tell me now, I wasn't sure that it's going to get resolved in the next thing. I like that it's just a 2-part story. That's great.
I'm not totally resolved. Obviously, this is an ongoing book, but like,
Well,
at
yeah,
least
but I mean,
where-
but like this is an arc. It's a 2-issue arc. If you,
yeah, I mean, we have it right there at the end of this page. You're to take down the Tarkin.
yeah, nice. in very old timey comic book font.
Yeah, well, look, there's some things we can never escape in terms of this is still a comic
No, I
book.
mean it is still that. I think that's always the thing that keeps me from being like, wow. Is always just like, well, it is still an early '80s Marvel comic, but when you compare it to what we've seen before, this is a massive step up.
Yeah, totally. I'm not going to make any promises where this is concerned, but I do think this book turns around in some major ways from here on out.
Yeah,
And
apparently not when
there,
Claremont does it though.
there are going to be some sidetracks.
Yeah,
There are going to be some speed bumps we hit and some potholes along the way.
yeah, no surprise there.
But I think overall, and again, being the guy that read ahead, you're the guy who's reading this issue to issue.
Right.
Rest assured, I think this is more Star Warsy than it isn't from here on out. Whereas
Well, that's what's important.
before, it was always just like, okay, they were figuring out what Star Wars is, just as a franchise, as a storytelling trope. Now we're sort of settling into the rhythms and the story beats, especially with younger guys who maybe have been impacted a little bit heavier by the juggernaut that is Star Wars.
Well, that's all I ask for. I don't expect this to be exceptional because it is tie-in, and it is, prevented, like I said, really massively moving the story forward because it's between movies. But the biggest thing I ask of it is that it just feels like Star Wars, that it feels on brand with that the characters sound right. That's all I need. It's just some good adventure stories with these characters. And this is certainly a step in the right direction, big time.
Yeah, no, very excited to look more into this. But I think that's going to do it for this issue because, next time we got to take it down the Tarkin.
Yeah, and if you want more from this show and all the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network, you can go to our Patreon page, which is patron.podbean.com/punchup. Once again, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup for cool exclusive bonus content, as well as to help out all the shows on the network.
Yeah, speaking of all the shows, you can find all of them over at our YouTube page. Another great way to help support us is by going over there, youtube.com/@PunchUpEntertainment. There you can subscribe to see all of our shows. We got Campbell and Jones, Meet the Monsters, the IP Squad, which is now firmly ensconced in its second season covering pulp heroes.
Oh, is it ever?
Oh, is it ever? You think they'll ever make another Doc Samson movie, John? I just don't see it.
Doc Savage? No.
Doc Savage.
Doc Samson's a Marvel character. But yeah. No, I don't. I hope so, but I just don't. If there's
The Man
one
of
thing
Bronze.
that season, one of the things we keep coming back to is I just don't know that the audience is there to get a big budget behind any of these pulp heroes, and that's a shame. Yeah. God knows Shane Black tried for so long to make one.
But yeah, you can find all of that over there. And while you're there, please like, comment, subscribe. Help us by ringing that bell for all those notifications. All that stuff really helps. Let us know in the comments below. What are your favorite Star Wars tropes that really ring to you as this makes it Star Wars? When you see something in a Star Wars, how does it let you know that it is, in fact, a Star Wars? Is it just space wizards? Do you need to see a lightsaber? If so, that's fine. Just let us know in the comments below.
Every time you said that, I just keep thinking, go see a Star War.
I know. I mean, I'm doing that on purpose.
Here's $10. Go see a Star War.
But I think that's going to do it for us this week on
Indeed.
This show. As always, I've been Mike Ergoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And remember, may the panel be with you.